This is just a little song to help you get off on the right track today. Or maybe it'll just help you recalibrate. Take your mind off all the stress that's going on around you. Come on, you ready? Let's go. Living out loud, living out loud. Living out loud, living out loud. Living out loud, living out loud. I want the world to know that I'm blessed. Hey, oh, hey, yeah, hey, oh, hey.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Thurston O'Neill here. You are, again, joining us for the Brothas Like Us radio show on Living Out Loud RadioTV. So very glad that you guys are able to join us today. I'm going to be honest with you guys today. I was struggling with what we were going to talk about, what we were going to discuss today, and it's just like God always does something, put something in your heart and mind. You know, of course, there's been a lot of stuff going on around us on Facebook, on Instagram, the whole Derek Jackson thing. I actually did not bring this up with the guys this week because I wanted to, I didn't want to like dive into that subject, especially on the show. I didn't even want to discuss it with the guys outside of the show because I know that we tend to go really hard on these type issues. And for those of you who don't know Derek Jackson, if you look it up, Derek Jackson, Jaxn, it will definitely come up. So you will definitely see what I'm talking about. Before the guys come in, I'm just trying to get myself set up here. I know last week we had a little issues with it coming up on my regular page. It did come up on the LOL radio page on Facebook and also on our YouTube page. So I'm going to encourage you guys to please join us on my page here or on the Facebook LOL Radio TV page on Facebook or on our YouTube page. It's live, streaming live. And I just want to make sure that everything is coming up the way it's supposed to before we dive in. So again, you know, we were discussing, or I was discussing pretty much with myself, what are we going to talk about today? You know, we had a lot of birthdays happening. We had a lot of stuff going on in the past week or so. And the reason I brought up the Derek Jackson thing is because I never want our show to devolve into a show where we are just talking about the random nonsense that's going on around us. I want it to be a show where we discuss very relevant issues, where we discuss issues that can help uplift and encourage our neighbors, our brothers, even our sisters that join us, that chime in. I don't want our show to become a show where we just jump on the bandwagon, because if we put a certain name or a certain issue out as a topic, I know that a lot of people will dive in. A lot of people will have a lot of things to say. That's just the culture that we live in. But we want to make sure that we protect this thing that God has given us. And we don't want it to just be another show that people go to just to hear the latest gossip. So that is the reason why I did not jump on that subject. And I know for a fact that my brothers will agree with me. So once they get here, actually, I'm trying to refresh my page, see if it, I don't know why it's not coming up on my regular Facebook page right now, because I am logged in there. Let me see if anyone see. I know that we're on YouTube because I see someone there now. But what about the LOL page? Let me go to the LOL Radio TV here and see if it's live. Just give me a moment, guys. We are okay. Yes, I'm live there. All right. So, do me a favor. Anyone that's watching, as you come in, please share the stream, like it, comment, share so that other people knows that Brothers Like Us is on. I'm not exactly sure why it's not showing up on my regular page, but let me see if I can fix that, because I think I can share it from there, and then people will see that we are on. Excellent. I know that a couple of guys had some scheduling conflicts, so we may be missing a couple of guys, but I'm looking forward to this this subject, this next subject that we're going to discuss, talking about changing the narrative around our community, the culture, what we think the community at large, how they view us, how they view Black men, Black families, our level of education, our level of communication, how we are viewed. Do we have a responsibility to try and change the narrative? Or are we just responsible for living our lives? And do you believe that people are just going to believe what they're going to believe? They're going to say what they want to say. And do you even think that we have the power to change the narrative? There's a saying that he who controls the language controls the narrative, right? I believe that's how it goes. He who controls the language controls the narrative. Do we create our own narrative? And do we create it so that others can see or join in on the narrative? Or do we create our own narrative for ourselves? Do we do it for ourselves, in our own homes, in our own communities, in our workplaces, where we work, where we educate our children? Like, do we change the narrative? And again, who are we changing the narrative for? Who are we changing the narrative for? Are we intentional about what we do, how we do it? And are we always looking over our shoulder to see who's watching, to make sure that that person walks away with a positive view of Black men, of Black families, of who we are and how we interact in society? Is that our responsibility? Do you believe it is our responsibility? Hey, Nicole, how you doing, sis? I see you there. Yes. He who controls the conversation, i.e. controls the narrative. Yes, yes, yes. And Nicole, I would love for you actually to join us online today on screen if you are available. I know the guys are coming, but I would love your take on this also, because I know in your line of work, I'll say in your previous life and now, of course, you are, I consider you an influencer. I know that people watch you and they listen to you. But as a radio host, was this even a thought? Were you thinking about changing the narrative? I know most of us, a lot of our listeners are Christian. Most of the people that come on here are Christian. Are we even responsible for changing the narrative, not only behind the Black community, but also around being a Christian? Does that responsibility fall on us? I think this is going to be a great conversation. Oh yes, I see Nicole, I see your comment. I'm gonna put it up on screen. I'm sorry, I meant to say he who controls the language controls the conversation, i.e. the narrative. Yes, thank you. Vaughn, what's up, baby? How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
Oh, I was on. Sorry, it's on mute. Good afternoon. Yes, yes. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yep, you're clear. You're good.
Oh, okay. All right. How's it going today?
Everything's good, man. I know. I just sent this thing over to you guys like at the last minute. I'm gonna show.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to see when guys get on. I'm gonna show this video that I think will help us help guide this conversation. But I don't know if you were on earlier. I was sharing that Are you familiar with the Derek Jackson story?
I wasn't aware of who Derek Jackson was until this story, I guess, hit the airwaves over the past week.
Okay.
And so I still haven't seen any of his prior shows or anything he's put out. But I have a good synopsis of everything that happened.
Of course you do. Absolutely. So Ernesto, how you doing, bro?
What's up, man?
Good to see you, baby. I'm glad you're back, man. Glad to see your face, man.
How you feeling?
I really haven't left. I was like, putting my comments on your.
I saw. You were with us. You were with us. You just couldn't be on camera. Yeah, you definitely did. We appreciate it. It's good to see you, bro. So I was sharing with everybody before you guys came on that I was fighting, and I don't know, I'll ask you too, Ernesto. Are you familiar with the Derek Jackson story?
Oh, is that the brother who said, who condoned adultery and all of that, and then he admitted that he got...
Yes. So
you say, well, maybe I don't have the whole story because I didn't know about him condoning adultery.
No. He was condemning adultery.
Oh, okay. Yes.
For years and years.
No. Word. I misspoke.
Yeah.
Condemning as I meant.
Right. So listen, guys, this story's been going on, but I purposely did not send it to you guys because I was familiar with him. Not like I listened to him a lot, but I would always every now and then see his videos come up. And I purposely didn't send it because I was explaining to our listeners that I don't want our show to devolve into that type of show where we are just talking about whatever nonsense is going on in our society at that current time. And I really do view that it's almost like a circus at this point. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to talk about? What are we going to discuss today? And prior to coming on, you might have gotten a text right before we came on. I went online and I saw this video that Erica had shared, and I shared it on my page. And then I sent it to you guys because I wanted to discuss it and discuss this topic. Like, how do you guys feel about this? About changing the narrative for our community around Black men, about Black families, even about Christians. Like I said, most people that all of us that come on the show pretty much are Christian, and then most of the people that listen, they're Christian. So how do we feel? Do we have a responsibility for trying or being intentional about changing the narrative? I want to see how you guys feel about it, but I want to show you guys one thing. I want to show everybody else one thing. Let me see if I can go to it here and find, let's see. It's just a 2-minute video, and I'm hoping that Facebook doesn't cut me off, but let's see. Let's see if I can share it. And here we go. All right, so check this out for a second, guys.
If you think you know what happens next, ask yourself why. These are the Black stories we've been shown. A narrow view that limits our understanding. But there's so much more to see. Let's widen the screen so we can widen our view.
Yeah, so listen, I love this video, man, from the first moment I saw it. But I'm gonna be honest, when it first came on, I was expecting a tragic story. I really, really was. I'm gonna be totally honest and transparent. So I wanted to play that and just see, just off the top, what are you guys' thoughts about this subject and about that video? How do you feel about it?
Well, I love the video. I thought it was great. I actually hadn't seen it until you sent the video to us earlier.
Okay.
It was great. And, you know, again, when I was watching it, I didn't know where it was going to end up. You know, I was expecting some tragic story, you know, boys in the hood type thing to happen.
Exactly.
But it was good to see that it was just everyday life. It's just everyday life, family, things that that some communities still don't believe really happens every day in the Black community.
Right.
You know, so I was glad to see that. You know.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Ernesto, Randy, how you doing, bro? Good to see you, man.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good. Yes. Ernesto, what did you think about the commercial, the video?
I thought it was great. I didn't have any expectations when I saw it.
Okay.
I just saw Procter and Gamble because when you sent it, and I said, yeah, Procter and Gamble ain't gonna do anything racist because that's a lot of money in their pockets. So, but widening the view, actually, when I saw it, it reminded me of college.
Okay.
It reminded me of college because a lot of, not all, I wouldn't say the majority, but I would say many of the white people that I encountered in college, they had a narrow view of Black people. And I found myself being in a predominantly white school, being the representative for all of our people, and helping them widen that view. I also thought when I saw it, I said, you know, back then, the only view they had that was different from being the gangbanger was the Cosby Show.
Right. Yeah.
And they would, a lot of times when we would talk, we would reference the Cosby Show.
Wow.
And they would say comments like, "Yeah, I don't even consider their color." You know, and I would tell them, "But I do." You know, but yeah, that all those thoughts, came rushing in.
Right.
Yeah.
Randy, did you see the video? You came in as the video was playing, right?
Yeah, but I saw it. Well, matter of fact, yesterday evening, this young lady that I know I consider as my sister sent it to me because one of the young men that we knew directed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, you know, when she sent it to me, it was late, and you know, and I'm like, I'm not gonna look at this now. And then when you just was playing it and sent it, I checked it out. Then I went back and I checked it out, and I see that it was the same video. So it was a guy that we know.
Okay.
That used to be the media director at this church, New Life Cathedral.
Wow.
And so he was the one that directed it and sent it to Queen Latifah, and she put it out and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So the thing is, man, for me, you know, I have often had to deal with stuff like that with people. And I also find myself now trying to help widen people's view.
Right.
Even like people that I work with. I mean, I'm talking about Latinos. I don't care who it is, you know, because they have this, you know, if you see somebody come riding around with a Mercedes Benz, the first thing they want to do is judge him, though he must be a pusher, a drug dealer, and this. And I'm like, you know, why can't he just be have a good job?
Right.
You know, because they're looking at the tattoos, they're looking at this, and the first thing you start thinking, oh man, how could a kid like this have a Mercedes Benz, or how can a kid like this have a BMW? They must be doing something wrong. I mean, you see when you driving by, and you see a BMW, you see some black kids in it. The first thing you got, cops got them pulled over, and they giving them some bogus address, you know, some bogus because they want to check the car, see if it's there.
Right. Yep.
I run into a lot of times with that people, and I find myself now, you know, not really getting frustrated by it, but opening up about it because of how people perceive things and talk. And so this young guy that I always work with now, you know, because he's Puerto Rican and he's a lot, he's proud to be. And I'm always like trying to school him because right away, the first thing he wants to do when he hears something, he want to jump on the side. So then I have to try to like change his view. And then after a while, he said, yeah, you know what? You're right about that. I said, because the first thing people want to always try to judge us, but you don't know nothing about us, you know. And so you never know a person until you walk into a person's shoes. You never know what a person does. You never know what kind of money they have. You have nothing, but right away you automatically think the negative. And that's because of the picture that we've been painted all so long, and we have brought into this type of negativity and stuff like that. But, you know, I mean, any one of us could be having a nice car, nice house, and it could be true. But right away, and I know people who have, if I came to work with a brand new car, they look at me funny. Like, man, how did he get that, man? I mean, who do you think he is? I mean, I can't afford it. And you don't know nothing about me.
Nothing.
I tell you, man, I lived in life, but I said, look, we just acquaintances on this job. I'm not your friend. I'm not your buddy. I go east, you go west. We are never going to hang out. We are never going to be at each other's houses.
Right.
I said that, so don't act like, oh man, you're like, you're my friend. I'm not your friend.
Right.
And the thing that got me about this was the movie I saw called with Samuel Jackson called it's the one where his daughter he had to go to jail.
Oh man, Time to Kill?
Yeah, A Time to Kill.
Lord.
And when that lawyer said to him, he said, "But I'm your friend." He said, "You're not my friend."
Nope.
He said, "I hired you because you think like them."
Wow.
He said, "That's why I hired them, because you think like them. So I want you to do whatever you would do to get me off, because you know what it would take to get me off. Because you
know
like
how they think. Because you know how they think."
Ever since that kind of like gave me this eye-opening awakening about stuff like this. So I mean, I think the film, the commercial was powerful because again, I'm like you, thinking the tragedy.
Yeah, man.
We go again, something going down, and it was just the opposite. So yeah,
I think. Listen, if I'm honest, like you say, I don't think it's only white people or people outside of our culture that view us that way, right? I have to check myself, man, because so now I work with a lot of young people, man, and I love working with young people of color. I think it's necessary, especially for us in the mental health field, that they see more of us in this field. But I have to catch myself and check myself, even with things that I personally may feel is ridiculous. So I think, walking around the streets with your pants hanging below your butt with your underwear out, I think personally it's ridiculous. But do I take that initial belief and then totally devalue that young person? Because I know that there are a lot of very smart, very intelligent, very powerful, and young people with a gang of potential that may walk around like that because that is a part of the culture that they grew up in. So how do we how do we make sure that we're not prejudging and overjudging when we see stuff like that?
Well, we have to be careful, try not to judge, but still, and sometimes this makes me unpopular. It's still our responsibility to represent ourselves in a certain way so that people don't think of us in that narrow description. So we still have to have some responsibility on ourselves for the way, because we know people already look at us in a certain way. So we still are responsible to not dress a certain way that brings us down, or to act a certain way. Unfortunately, we have to be held to a higher standard than the other cultures, because they're given that leeway. They've already been given that privilege. We have to be sure that, okay, we don't have that privilege. People are already looking. They're already waiting for us to make the wrong step. They're watching us, so we have to behave in a certain manner.
So
go
ahead.
I was one of those kids. Because I used to wear the cross colors back in the day.
Ain't nothing wrong with cross colors.
Guys our age used to criticize me for wearing cross colors.
Of course.
I was dating a girl. She was like the stereotypical church girl. She had the long skirts, the pleated blouse, and I would walk her. She would visit me, and then I'd walk her to the bus stop. And she looks so nice and decent. And I'm walking with my oversized pants and the cross colors and all this other stuff. And I remember we passed these West Indian older guys. And I remember they said, "What a nice girl like that doing with a hoodlum boy like that." And I turned to them, and she's like pulling me like, "Come on." And I'm like you said earlier, I said, "You don't know me."
Right.
Well, you know. And then, first of all, when I use a few words that were 3 syllables, they were shocked. They were shocked, right? And they were like, and they had nothing to say. I said, "You shouldn't judge a book by its cover." I said, "I have a job. It was in the summer. I was like, I go to college. In fact, I go to this university, this and that and the third, and all this other stuff." And yes, because if I was like that, she wouldn't be with me. And then I see her like rolling her eyes, like, "Oh God, can we go?"
Right.
I wouldn't put cross colors or Carl Kanai in that same category as guys with their pants hanging down. Cross colors and Carl Kanai was a style.
Yeah, but it's always a generational thing.
Absolutely.
Because if you sat and spoke with those guys, they would say straight up, "You're a hoodlum. You're dressed like a hoodlum."
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's hilarious when I see the guys because I worked in East Harlem, and I used to see these guys with their pants hanging down running. Hilarious. In fact, I used to tease them. I used to imitate them all the time. It's amazing they didn't beat me up. But yeah.
Actually, I have to drive by. I have to make sure we're at a red light. I pull off quickly, because if Adrian is in the car with me, she's going to be yelling out the car at them. and I'm like, "Listen, I can't beat all 5 of those guys."
So then if they turn around and say something to her, she's going to be like, "Vaughn, you heard what he said to me?"
I'm like, they're just expressing themselves.
But you know,
man. Yep, writing a check that Vaughn got to cash. Yes.
Go ahead, Randy. Go ahead.
But the thing is, even though it's bad and it looks bad, we are always going to be judged differently.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that.
Because white kids wear dressed the same way.
True.
Right.
They have their pants hanging down. I mean, blacks have always been these trendsetters, and they always follow the trend. So, and now I see a lot of white kids same way with the skinny jeans, they underwear is hanging down, I mean, you know, and they trying to talk the same way that we talk and act the same way, but you never see them on the side of the road or on the sidewalk sitting on their hands.
Right.
You know,
right.
You never see them being pulled over. So even though it might look bad and say it don't look bad, and we understand, because a lot of times, you know, look, we old heads and we know that it looks bad and we understand how things look and stuff like that. And it really does look silly.
It does.
But like I said, we always are judged differently no matter what. No matter what goes down, they're gonna always look at us and they're always gonna point the finger at us and call us this. But then you gonna have the same type of group that's Italians, Irish Italians, or whatever. They kids dressed in the same way. I used to tease this contractor. He was Italian. I'm telling him, like, you know, all the time, and he was from Howard Beach. I said, listen, man, I'm telling you, man, your daughter coming home with a black guy. And he would have a fit. But I'm like, why? Right. It's just gonna be a nice, but why? No, she's not. I mean, but this is the way they think.
Right.
But they sons and stuff like that, and their daughters, you see it happening more and more now.
Absolutely. So they're following the trends.
Right.
The whole world is turning beige.
Exactly. Louisa, I see your comments, and I want to get to them. I want to make sure I post them. Yes, that style needs to go. It really looks terrible. I believe it looks terrible also, but I keep going back to us judging the inside of the person because of the outside appearance. That's important, especially for us in the Black community. Now, Randy, going back to something you said, man, I truly believe overall that you could pull up your pants as much as you want. You could put on a three-piece suit. Well, three-piece suit is old school, I guess. I guess I'm dating myself. So you could put on a nice suit, tie, and all of that stuff. You're still gonna be judged differently. You're gonna be judged differently. So then my question is, are we changing the narrative and trying to get someone else's approval, or are we changing the narrative for ourselves? Are we changing the narratives for ourselves? I think that's important for us to consider.
Well, we still have to consider that because we're going to be looked at different, we still are held to a higher standard. So it's up to us to make a decision of, I don't care, or, I don't care what people are going to say about me, and let them think negative about me, or let me do what I need, what's good for myself, for the culture of my people, and try to be a good representative to prove to them, just to be a representative. You don't have to prove to everybody, but be a good representative of what we are. I'm not saying that you have to always walk a fine line, but we need to be more conscious because we are being watched different. I almost think of what Randy was saying about the white kids do it. They do it too, but it's almost just like the scripture. Everything is permissible, but it's not beneficial.
Right. Right. And overall, they are policed differently than we are. So, and Louisa, I see all of your comments. I want to make sure that we get to this because this is important. And I understand, she says, but a lot of guys I see with their pants hanging down are out there smoking weed, cursing, and carrying on. Yeah. Many of them may be. But you know what? I know a lot of people that curse and smoke weed and at times carry on, but they still hold down a 9 to 5, or they've started their own business. They are productive members of society. So it's important that we not categorize everyone just off of that initial interaction. And again, it goes back to how we're policed differently, because I know some well-to-do families that have had children, well-to-do families, white families that have had children, go off to college, get caught in some nonsense. Now, they may not have their pants hanging off their butts, but they could be acting in a way that's not productive. So either using or selling or distributing drugs and getting caught, but because of the status of the family or the color of their skin, they're not viewed the same way. So when they go into that dean is not automatically saying, get off my campus. That dean is calling the parents and say, how are we working this out? What is going to happen? When a person of color may automatically be kicked off of campus. So it's important, very important, that we not, and overall, I'm talking to us as a Black community, because I believe, many people in the other communities, they're going to view us how they view us. It is what it is. But I think it's important that we not toss people away from our community because of the way that they look. We have to look inside. What are their passions? Why are they acting or talking or smoking? Why are they doing it? What's happening at home? What has caused them to do the things that they do? And we have to look.
But see, the thing also is that, because I see some of the posts that Louisa is putting up, but it's like a matter of how do you reach these kids? Because you just can't just go up to them and just say, yo, just pull your pants up.
No, absolutely not. Nope.
Because you know why? Because some of these kids, like sometimes, like even like my son, I didn't teach my son like that. But I have seen him with his pants hanging down.
Right.
And it's sort of like, it's just like, it drives me crazy when I see people, I'm used to getting up in the morning and when I had hair, comb my hair and, making sure it's all right. But the day is like, I'm not looking at these kids, man. I'm like, man, what with the hair? With the hairstyle?
Right.
It's just like, it's just crazy. It's like anything goes. You just get up. I mean, back in the day, we used to call them, like, the teasing, call them buckwheat or all this kind of stuff because your hair be all like, all just picked up for the day. They look at it as a style. And you find everybody just dressing and going with the trend. I mean, so a lot of time kids are out there with their friends. They succumb to peer pressure. Because trying to hang in with the fellas.
Trying to fit in. You don't want to be an outsider.
Right. You having a young lady, when they go out there and I look at my niece sometimes, and me and her grandfather would never say anything to her. He said, I can't say anything to her, Randy, because she got a mouth on her. And I know how I am. I will go off on her. So I won't say anything to her. But the dresses that she has on, we're like, I just don't understand it. I mean, why do you have to have everything with practically everything you've been over, and then you sitting down and you constantly pulling down? Why put that on if you're going to sit down and then the whole night you constantly pulling down?
Right.
Why? What's the reason? I mean, and sometimes you gotta kind of like look way into the point that you have to try to reach these guys on a different level and talk to them, because they just not gonna just accept you coming up to them and saying, yo, man, you need to do this and do this. They don't run you out of there, man.
They're like, who are you, man? Get out of my face, dude.
But culture is always going to dictate trends and the way kids want to dress, and there's nothing wrong with that to a degree. So is nothing wrong with kids getting having a funky hairstyle, when they're younger until they're ready to go for a job interview. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with kids.
Yes, Ernesto,
but even then, I mean, nowadays the requirements of how to dress in a job is not the same.
Exactly.
Or even you're dressing down now. So I'm gonna, I'll say this. Let me preface this first. I agree about even the comments about how I feel about the style, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Because we're sounding like a bunch of old men. Get off my lawn.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. Right. Because now I just want to address something that Louisa said. She's right. The hanging down of the pants did come from prison. And a lot of people did say, well, that's a prison culture. Right. But I remember I listened to the rap music that I used to listen to. And you could argue that some of the rap songs that we listen to and dance to could, was prison culture also.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I think what I'm saying is that every generation has their stuff that the previous generation is going to be like, no, Elvis swinging his hip was a problem.
Right.
So that's another thing. And just to give you some visual as far as a point that one of you made, as far as whether or not does it make a difference of whether you wear a dress shirt or a hoodie? Well, when I look at all those documentaries of the 1950s and 60s in the civil rights era, I saw people dressed up in the shirts and ties and getting
Hosed
hosed
down
and bitten by dogs and beat down by, and they were dressed to the tilt.
Wow.
So I believe sometimes that there's a part of me that says, no, I think the culture has to change on how they see us. Why is it's not fair that if I have a black son, I gotta worry about how he dresses when my white neighbor across the street don't have nothing at all to worry about.
Nope.
And I think that as a parent, I would say, well, no, I'm gonna tell my child don't dress that way. But as a black man thinking like having a bird's eye view or a long-term vision, I think the world needs to get used to us. I think that, look, I would have loved if Obama one day did a press conference in a hoodie after Trayvon Martin.
Oh my gosh. That would have been great.
He told the world something.
Right.
And him being as articulate as he, and you know what? And I'm pretty sure that if someone brought it up, he probably would have done it. Just as an example that you can't judge, and it's just an issue that we really need to correct.
And you're right. You're right, Ernesto. It's not fair. It's not fair, but we still have to live in the reality that we're in. So we still have to balance it. Balance it. Because it's not fair, and we're living in an unfair world. We still have to, to direct our youth and even our adults into the way they act, to be mindful of the way they're being judged. We can say it's not. We can say it's not fair 100 times, but we're still going to be judged a certain way.
This is true, but there's a lot that I do not like about, and I could go on the other side of this, talk about how I don't like the culture of how the kids are dressed and stuff like that, and where that comes from and all that. But one thing I would say that I like about this generation, they push back.
Yes.
And because I think that is important, because like you said, Vaughn, there has to be a change in us also. Do I like the way how these girls dress these days? Heck no. Oh, no. It's like kiddie porn. I don't like that crap.
Right.
Hold on. You're talking that subject. Did you see the way black women were represented, or women of color were represented on the Grammys a couple of weeks ago?
I didn't see it. Yeah. I didn't watch. I haven't watched the Grammys actually in a couple of years.
It was actually the Grammys was very good. It was produced entirely different because of COVID. It was a very good show until we saw Meg and Cardi.
So let me ask you this. Does their performance color your entire view of how black women were represented on that show?
Well, unfortunately, other than Beyonce coming up on stage very quickly, they were, I think, the only black female representatives on the program.
Okay. Okay.
So so I have a problem that that so many people, they see that as the representative of black womanhood, and that so many of our youth think that that's okay.
Right. Listen, but I think, like we said, every generation has these questions. And listen, I find myself doing it also. I'm older now. And so when I'm driving down the street and I get a whiff of weed, or I just see someone, walking down the street smoking weed, inside I'm like, why would they be doing that? But then I gotta go back to when Thurston was in high school. I was that kid. I was that kid, man. So we can't. My biggest thing is we can't throw them away. I'm always gonna. Anyone that knows me, Randy, you know me. I'm always gonna be on the side for the women or the wife, and I'm always gonna be on the side of the kid.
Right.
Y'all dudes, brothers like us, y'all got to get yourselves together. But when it comes to our women and our kids, we have to protect them. We have to look. We have to have a better view, or at least try to understand where they're coming from, what's going on, what is causing this type of behavior, and how can we assist? And not only how we can assist, how have we caused this behavior? Nicole,
Thurston, I just want a clarification. Thurston.
Then we're gonna go to Nicole.
I just need a clarification. When you say how do we address them, you're talking about how they dress or their behavior?
I'm talking about everything. So they need to. I think people need to know that they are seen and heard. And when you approach someone, if you don't know somebody, just think about how you would be. If someone walks up to me and says, Thurston, I don't know this guy, but you know what? That hoodie is not a good representation. Or I got on my Brothas Like Us, right? That's not a good representation. I'm offended by that shirt. I don't know this person. They don't know me. I'm not listening to anything they got to say. But if we have built a relationship, and that's the biggest thing, building relationship with our younger generation, hearing them, hearing what they have to say is so important. So I believe I can't say anything to them about their the way that they dress or behave if I have not even attempted to know who they are, to hear them, to listen to them, to understand. Because if that child or if that young person is having his pants hang low because that helps him fit into this group, because at home there's abuse, there's drug use or whatever, or not even to that extreme. They're not even heard at home. The parents work all the time and they're there. Maybe they're taking care of their younger siblings, and it's hard on them. So they're trying to go to school. They're trying to go to work to add something to the household. They're still trying to take care of their younger siblings or even older siblings. And, they are looking to connect. That we have to be willing to look and hear and help before we can ever say change. Before we can ever say you need to change this, we gotta be at least attempt. And they know when you're authentic, man. They know when you're authentic. They know when you're just putting on a front. So I hope I answered your question, Ernesto. I hope I did. Nicole, how you doing, sis?
Hi. Good. Hi, guys. How are you? I mean, this is a passionate conversation.
Yes.
There's so many views that you can come from. I gotta say, I'm guilty of being one of those who have felt maybe sometimes intimidated or felt like, why are you dressed like that? Even if it means, yes, we're going to be judged on a regular basis, but we're just giving fodder to the negativity. We're just adding more to it. Why don't you have on a belt? And to Ernesto's point, when you're running down the street and you still got to hold up your pants while doing this, it doesn't make any sense. So I even tried it. I'm gonna be completely transparent. Not in the street though. I tried to wear my pants, and then with no belt and trying to run, and I couldn't understand.
Nicole, what would cause you to even try that? Even in the privacy of your own home.
Because I wanted to, like you said, kind of understand and
right.
figure out what is it about wearing your pants beneath your, buttocks.
Right.
Why would you do that? And then try to run. It really doesn't make sense to the psyche. So someone's telling me outside of that, there's something wrong with that thinking, to think that it's okay to do that. But like you said, latchkey kid, I mean, it comes from influences, it comes from fitting in. And I have how many nephews I have, Lord? 6, 9, 7, 9. That's it. I think I have 6 or 7 nephews. I can't even keep count. But and I like you said, having to have a relationship with them is important, because even with my nephews, because I've had relationships with them, can I talk to them, have lengthy conversations, pray with them for every one of their birthdays. Otherwise, I have no access. And people on the street I have no access to, but it is disturbing to see, yes, because we're being judged, and you're judged more harshly than someone in a 3-piece suit or 2-piece suit, though they're being judged as well. Because if both people are walking down the street, someone in a suit and someone with their pants hanging down, who you think they're going to go after first?
Yeah.
Even though both are being judged, it's likely the person with the pants hanging down and the hoodie is going to be the culprit or the guilty one on the scene before the 3-piece suitor. And I'm just saying.
Right. No, I hear you. So I wanted to share this. Claudio, thank you for checking in, man. And thank you for your comment. We always love when you're here with us, bro. Claudio says, my entire neighborhood smoked blunts, drank 40s, and cursed. Good or bad, it was the acceptable culture. It still is. Most of the guys and girls I grew up with are now professional people, husbands and wives with their own kids. And let me go over here so I can read the rest of it.
Come on, Claudio. Get on here.
Judge Collins, does that include you? Judge Collins, you were smoking blunts?
Oh, I was about to say, he didn't specifically say that we were smoking.
That's a smart judge.
So I'll give him that. I think that eventually everyone comes around and matures out of those phases in life. Most people do. I agree, Claudio. None of us are the same people we were as teenagers. At least we shouldn't be. So if we, as a culture, start to cut off our young people because of the way that they look, we're gonna lose them, man. We're gonna lose them. We have to accept them for who they are right now. We pour into them. And my biggest thing is, and I even have these conversations with Erica, even when we're raising our own children. We can give them insight, direction. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna take it. It doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna say, you're right, I'm gonna do it differently. No, they still have the right and the option to choose their own way. And it may be a mistake. And you know what? When they make that mistake, they can run back to us. And with just like Christ is there with open arms for us, we're gonna be there for them. And even though we may throw "I told you so" in there, we're still going to help them dig themselves out of the hole, whatever it may be, right? But we can't just toss them away.
Right. I know that one time I was something what Ernesto said as far as to push him back, and even the children. And even the children sometimes push, like you said, they push back against the parents. Even though you're trying to direct them and indirectly teach them, sometimes they even push back against what you're trying to teach them and share with them.
Right.
I always try to teach my daughter and my son, Rachel and I, because the whole thing is we try to teach them to live without us. They may not always be here. So that's what we get them to understand and show. So even now with my daughter who have always been a strong-minded person, she always was the person that's going to go left. You're going to tell her to go right, she's going left. She's going to go the opposite no matter what. So we had to try to teach him. My wife was one time trying to share with her, just saying, listen, about saving her money. She got a job. She's working for the city. She's got a job. She's trying to save it. She was saying, this is what you need to do, how you need to stack up your dollars, this, that, and this. But now she goes to her friends. Listening to her friends. She said, so my wife said, okay, well, you go listen to your friends. So who do your friends live with? Or they live with their mother, or they live with their mother. She said, well, you go listen with your friends. I know that I can go right now to a car dealer and buy it in cash.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Buy a car in cash.
You can? Wow.
well, she can.
But
Randy, you're best.
but like you're saying, Randy, just like the scripture says, whatever you teach them, they might reject it for a while, but they won't depart from it for long.
And that's the thing, because when my son, he finally moved out on his own. He moved to, now, just to show you his independence, he didn't even tell us that he transferred his job.
Wow.
He didn't even tell us. He just said that, I'm moving. And we said, going where? Oh, I'm going to Greenville, North Carolina. He had the job already set up. He had everything set up. So now he goes. He gets down there. He gets into a little trouble. He had to come back home. And the next thing you know, he does it again. He takes off and he goes again because he just wanted to get away from the whole New York scene.
Yep.
Because he got tired of hanging out with the friends that he was hanging out with. He wanted to. So we started seeing him mature a little more. So now he's decided that he applied for another job where he's like working for the government, where he's doing government grants and all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
Now he's doing this stuff where he had to move to Virginia. He relocated. We went down there to help him move, set him up, stuff like that. But they do mature after a while, Like I said, you don't throw them away, because the thing is, it's about what you teach them. And if you continue to teach them, continue to show them guidance and stuff like that. But like I said, I think it's about the approach, because even with the young people, that's even in the church, you just can't just come up to them and just start talking to them and tell them they hear it. Because they don't know you. You have to build this type of relationship.
Right, Randy.
And to be able to talk to them where they feel comfortable enough to allow you into their life or into their space. And I have experienced that. So, because after a while, you say something, they're going to reject it because you just don't really understand. So I had to learn to understand, even with, coming up with rap. I was not a person that was into rap.
Right.
Never was. So it was hard for me to understand what they was talking about.
Right.
And I'm like, and everybody's like, oh man, that's so bad. It was this and that. I'm like, man, I said, that's not rap. I don't even understand what they talking about. Why is that rap? But I realized the gift that was in it.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do it.
Yep. Yep. It is a gifting.
Low rhymes like that. But it just show you the gift that they had, and it's like they had their own type of communication and their own type of way of doing things. But that like you said, we old people, older, and the old mindset. But then, like you said, going back, our parents had the same type of talks and things like that when we was coming up.
Absolutely.
So fact is, everybody's not assigned to us. Right. So we our job is to try to mentor those who God has placed us over. First, our own children, and then maybe other kids who've come into our sphere. So dealing with my own children, I try to push principles and everything else, but somewhat hands off, because like you said, they're their own individuals, and I don't want to be oppressive in the way I push my principles. So one of the ways that I try to reinforce those things is having them in other people who are surrounding me, other people who are people who have somewhat the same interests in mind. That would be Ernesto, who is godson of one of my children, and Thurston, who's godson of another one of my children, and just have people around who would reinforce some of my ideals and everything else, because we can't reach everyone, and we're just got to work with those who we have. And like you said, we still also have to be mindful of how we teach those lessons.
How is extremely important. And Randy, to something that you talked about, your daughter being strong-minded, right? And so if I think about, interactions that I know some of my friends may have had with their parents or their families, and I don't want to say overall everybody did this, but many times you will find people either beat or punish certain things out of children that they will need as a part of their internal working model for later on in life. So because we want, the thing was children should be seen and not heard, right? That is so ridiculous. Yeah. You have to hear your children. You have to listen. And then we punish and beat things out of them that they are going to need later in life to deal with this culture that they're raised in. So if we make them docile and you got to speak this way and you got to do this and you got to do that, then when we're gone, because like you said, we're trying to train them for when we're gone, that they can navigate this life. But we've sort of disciplined this strong-willed energy that they have out of them at a young age, because we want these children that are proper and speaks the right way and does all the right things. Meanwhile, this was something that Erica and I noticed around the same time as we were raising our children, because we want our children to be respectful. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, you want them to be respectful, but we would go out and we would see these other kids running all around the store and having a great time. They're just free to enjoy life, right?
Free spirited.
Yes, yes. And it was actually, we were going to this is when Jada was a baby. We were going to a business meeting with this guy that owned this company. We had no one, we both needed to be in the meeting. We had no one to watch Jada, and we were going to put the meeting off. And he said, listen, that's your child. Bring your child with you. Bring your child with you and handle whatever business we have to handle. It's fine. Do what you have to do. And as you come, let your child be your child, right? So we were so worried about the way we were going to be viewed or judged that we were about to pass on something. And it took this gentleman that, it was a large company, and he was the one almost like to give us permission. Hey, like, rethink the way that you are approaching these type of things, especially around our children. And the other thing is, why shouldn't our children see us in a business meeting, handling business the proper way? Like, that's the things that we miss out on when we take that approach.
Yeah, I know that one time my wife, she kind of like changed my view on things as far as dealing with my children, because she's always telling me, Randy, you got to pick your battles. You got to pick your battles, and because like I said, my son was much more easier, but my daughter was, she was contrary, man. So as she's getting into her 20s, getting out of high school, she's feeling herself thinking that she's grown, and, and then she's starting to drink a little bit and coming home intoxicated, passing her curfew and all this kind of stuff. So Rachel kind of like shocked her, because one day me and her got into it, and now she's mad and I'm going back out. Now she's want to storm out, and I'm got the door blocking. You ain't going nowhere. Take your hips upstairs. You ain't going nowhere. My wife is in the bed sleep. My wife hears us. She gets up out of the bed. She comes to the door. She says, Randy, move. She put her hands out and said, give me my car, or give me my house keys, Rachel. Rachel took the keys out, slammed them on her hands. Rachel opened the door, let her out, closed the door, locked it, put the alarm on, and got back in the bed. She didn't say nothing.
Wow.
Next day we talked about it. And so now she's like, well, she's going to come over and get some of her clothes. And so I said, okay, open the door, let her go upstairs. Rachel will follow her upstairs. And she's standing in the doorway. And she said, oh, you're gonna watch what I take? She said, yep. She packs the duffel bag, she leaves. She goes over to a friend's house who father is a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
So now the next day, the wife calls and talk to my wife, and they chit chat a little bit and says, I just want to know how could we get Rachel back home. My wife said, Rachel could come back home. We didn't throw her out. She left.
Yep.
She left. Just like that. So then she said, but she's willing to stay here, but there's rules in this house. My wife's like, there's rules in this house. That's the reason why she's out.
Exactly.
So she said, because everybody that's in this house goes to church in the morning, goes to church. My wife has got to the point where she was like, listen, I'm not wrestling with these kids about going to church anymore. They're old enough now to make up their decision. They don't want to go. They're not go. I'm tired of sitting up there, hunching them, making them wake up.
Making them up. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stuff, trying to get them up. And she said that, listen, I'm missing out the word, missing the word because I'm worried about them. So she just said, bump it. She let them stay home. But now at this woman's house, Rachel would have to get up. So when she told Rachel that your mother said that you can come back home, she called my wife later on and said, Rachel will be home later. She said, but let me tell you, when I told her that you said that she could come back home, you should have seen the smile and the relief
right.
that she had on her face.
Right.
She because I have this rule. We have this rule where, like in our home, my wife called this is her place of peace, her house of peace. So when she comes in the morning, she leaves all the crap outside. She don't want to hear no drama, no nothing. I asked her how her day was. She told me whatever it is. Then she goes upstairs and do whatever she's going to do, relax a little bit. Then we come back downstairs and stuff like that. But she don't want no drama. And so that's how she looked at it. We have the rule, I'm saying, like, you live with us. She's 31 years old now.
Right.
But you're not going to come to my house and try to make rules. I say that, well, look, you might be grown, but in this house, you halfway grown. You get your own.
Right. When you get your own, you full grown.
Right.
You're not going to be grown on my dime.
Right.
You halfway grown. So I said, like, she goes and stays at her boyfriend's house that down the block. But when he comes over to my house, he's out by 2.
Right. There are rules.
2 o'clock. I want to hear him coming down the stairs. I want to hear the door open, the door closed, and the alarm being set. 2 o'clock. I said, but now, if you were fully grown and in your own, then he could stay at your house all day long for all I care, because that's yours. But we had to set the boundaries, and now she's like, she respects the boundaries, she's understands. So now we decide that we move. We're hoping that she's mature enough and she's growing that we can leave her here and watch out for things. But if she's not able to, we can't. But I think a lot has to do with the way you grow up. And one thing I also find out, a lot of times they friends, when they come to your house, they respect and give what they enjoy coming to your house.
Absolutely.
They see what your children has that they don't have at their own house.
Yes.
They see how you react. I always said this. I told you. I said, listen, if I had another kid, I'm going to send them over to Thurston house. You and Erica could raise them until they're 21. I said, I'll pay for everything. You don't worry about nothing. You got to worry about nothing. Y'all just raise them and then send them back when they get 21.
You crazy, dude. So listen, Alan,
you gotta Thurston, you gotta tell Randy no refunds.
That's right, man. Because if I keep them 21, I'm probably just going to want to keep them for the rest of their life, man. I'm not going to be giving them back. So hold on. So anybody that's watching right now, please like, share, and comment. Please like and share. We're trying to really get this program and this platform to grow. Portia, I see that you commented, so I want to share your comment. Portia, a few minutes ago, she said, I have 5 children, and I watch the way I approach them so not to turn them off. And Portia, with those 5 children, do you find that you have to approach different children differently ways. I think a lot of parents feel like, it's just one way. It's just, this is the way it is, and that's how I approach them. But I have found that I have to approach my children differently. And sometimes that may look like children are getting preferential treatment. But I try to, really understand their personality and how they, receive things. I think it's really important. And Randy, I think we have a new shirt. I think I'm gonna put this on a shirt. You're not full grown until you get your own.
That's true.
I love it.
I have a question for Nicole.
Okay.
We started off the program with you showing that video, talking about how we have to change the narrative.
Right.
So, Nicole, as the media representative, we're going to put all the pressure on you.
Yep.
Say it's your fault. What is the media's responsibility in the narrative of how people of color are seen?
Huge. I mean, I think we all play a part as far as responsibility is concerned. But remember, the media is out. Certain media platforms are out to make money and to gain viewership. So remember, they're not operating from the tenets from which we believe. So therefore, anything goes.
Right.
Now, from my perspective, as a Christian and a born-again Christian and believer, I do have a responsibility as to what the narrative is going to be when I portray something, whether it was on radio or now, as I have done some Steve CC News. I'm always asking the Lord, I want to honor people. I don't want to just do this because I want to get my face in the camera. I can do that in my kitchen.
Right.
But even in my kitchen, I still have a responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
What you see is what you get, but these are different contexts as well, too, right? So, of course, I'm a little bit more jovial in the kitchen, but on CCC News, my desire, too, is just to really represent and tell the story as best as I can in the short space of time that I have.
Right.
When I was on radio, one thing that I so appreciated having been on radio, when someone would say to me that you are the real deal, just being myself, but being consistent, having a level of integrity, not perfect, for them to see it, for the world outside. Because remember, I was on, the first radio station I was on was gospel, and they thought that I was a Christian initially, and I wasn't, being who I was, and then God saved me. But on Kiss FM, when that was a horse of a different color, and people come up with, not against me, but the challenge of my belief system and my stance, just representing authentically and consistently. That's the key word. Keywords, authentic and consistent. I didn't turn into someone when I got off the air. Does it, you know what I'm saying? So that has, thank God. And it doesn't mean, again, that doesn't mean perfection, and by no means does that mean that, but the level of consistency that people were able to see and appreciate, then they could say, that's the real deal. I just had a friend who's a Christian, a deacon, who, we had a little kerfuffle a couple of years ago, but and it's because of him not having boundary that he needed to have as a married man, and he wasn't trying anything. He just called me really late, and I didn't pick up the phone, but I texted him the next morning, and I was like, "Yo, dude, you can't do that." And it was Thanksgiving, and we've been friends for a long time, and it was Thanksgiving. But he thought, since we were friends, that you could just do that. Not at 12:30 at midnight, no. Nope. And I saw it, I was like, oh, absolutely not. Because I'm also protecting myself.
Right, and that 12:30 phone call, because some, in the world means something different.
It means something else. And though I know without a doubt that he meant no harm by it at all, I just didn't want to take the chance, even on my own conscience. And that doesn't make me haven't missed the boat or
Right,
but years later, and I don't know his wife real well, because I just don't know his wife well, but she knows of me from the radio station and so on and so forth. But years later, as in a couple of weeks ago, and we've spoken, I've even reached out to him just to say hey and call him for his birthday. But we've spoken, And he finally said, and not that I was looking for it because it was just over. He said, "You're the real deal. You helped me grow."
Wow.
Though it took me some time to see it, my ego was hurt and blah, 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 all of that stuff. And I respected that. And he didn't have to. I wasn't looking for it.
Right.
But for whatever reason, he said it. He felt prompted to say it because that helped him to grow at another level of understanding what boundaries and relationships and married men to a single woman or a single woman.
Absolutely, Nicole. It's so important. So important. Yes.
And sometimes, it can get so blurry, even on my own end, and I just don't want that. So if I don't respond, if I act a little strange, it's because I don't want none of that stuff. I want my own husband. I'm happy for all the wives that got y'all. So we want to keep that thing, up and up.
That's why we love you, Nicole. That's why we love you. That's why we love you, man. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Alan, what's up, my dude?
I'm sorry I'm late.
It's all good, man. I figured you probably still, recovering from your birthday and, partying and all of that stuff, man. How you doing, bro?
No, everything's good. Everything's good. I don't know if we had a chance to. Did Reggie get on it at all?
No, Reggie has not been on yet, but we do know that it is his birthday today.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we gotta big up Reg, and I really do wish he was a part of this conversation. So I'm sure we're gonna circle back once he's on the show, but he hasn't tried yet. He's probably trying to stay out of trouble.
Yes, I thank God that he hasn't been on.
Yes.
I did want to say that, I had my second vaccination shot, and I know Louisa, I see you on here, had hers, and I think she had the one shot from Johnson & Johnson, and she was thank you, Louisa. I think she was nervous about that, but I did pray for her that day because I did remember her throughout the different conversations. But it's interesting because I hear you guys talking about media and the who owns the responsibility, so to speak. And it's interesting because I work for a media conglomerate now, and you're welcome, Louisa. I see that. I work for Dow Jones, the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And it's interesting because one of the things that I was thinking is that someone said to me the other day, an Asian, and he's Japanese, and he said to me the other day, you know what? I don't really listen to the news that much anymore. And I know a lot of people say that through different periods of time, but specifically during COVID, I heard that a lot because a lot of people were dying. And then we had the social impact, the Me Too movement, and people were just tired of hearing about the wrongs that were going on in life and hearing it constantly. And I thought to myself, how much more could media do if they listened to the pulse of the people?
Right.
Because it's all about subscribers, and Nicole knows this about viewership, Nielsen net ratings, Nielsen net ratings in my arena because it's online. But these things measure the viewership and how many people are watching and things of that nature. But if you don't think they're going to portray us right, you're going to be like, I ain't watching Fox News. Fox? What? Never. You'll be like, oh, you know what? I like John, whatever, Ernie Anastas,
Right.
Ernie Anastas
still around?
I don't think so. But
you had to go way back to
Bill Ritter.
But everybody here knows Ernie.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So you like certain people. Why? Because you almost invite them into your family. Like, oh, they're giving commentary that.
That's
okay.
right,
Oh,
Alan.
you're Sade Benoit. Yeah, you're.
There you go. All right.
Okay, all right. Robin Roberts, or whoever you want to choose. But I think it's a responsibility on the viewers not to watch certain things, but I do think the brunt of the responsibility is on the media organization. You are pushing what we see. You are shaping sort of our reality in a sense. If we see, I'm not going to mention the name, but a brother we all know, owns a gun and used to be part of law enforcement. So anytime he sees anything anti-gun, he's like, "Oh, here we go again with that liberal." Still a Christian, whatever. Now, me, I don't believe in guns, So me, I'm like, shh. If it's easier to get a gun than a driver's license, I got a problem.
That is a problem.
Yeah. So, but if the media keeps showing us the NRA ads, if they keep showing us how gun use is good, only bad people have guns, then maybe our thinking would be like, why are these presidents talking about gun control? It's only bad people that have them. It's not really a problem. If they didn't show us the kids being killed, innocent people being killed by cops, different sort of assaults, that wouldn't shape our mindset. So, I just think it has more to do with the media. But if we stop watching because they need our ratings,
that's right,
they'd stop showing certain stuff.
Perhaps that's just like the black dollar. Our dollar is so important.
It's so powerful, Nicole.
It is so powerful. And we don't recognize that enough because we don't see the value in our black dollar. We think, okay, you know what? My little money is not going to matter if I spend it here. But it does.
It does.
But it's the conglomerate. It's the group. It's the whole, lot of us that has to make the shift happen.
Alan, I see you shaking your head.
In terms of watching the program, if we don't watch it, they're not going to show it. But I'm not saying that we're just a drop in a bucket, because people have made a shift and people have been able to change the narrative because they were loud enough, long enough, with some substance behind it to keep going, to keep pushing the needle. But sometimes we're not that consistent, and we're not in it long enough, or whether we're loud enough, it's not always strong enough.
And we've also gotten people in the media in position who care about the way we're represented and choose to push the narrative that they want to show us in a different light, whether it's in the news, whether it's in the programs we watch. And an important way that people ignore is the music that we hear.
That's right.
That that's constantly being drummed in ours and our children's ear, that is crafted in the way they think, the way boys think about girls.
Right.
And the way the boys think about girls, which, the music is probably one of the biggest influences on them. How do I approach a woman? What do I think about them?
Right.
These are major factors. And so that's why it's our responsibility, those of us who are in those positions, those who are in the position, those who create the music, those who create the television programs, to not just say, hey, I'm going for the money, but say that I want to represent my community. I want to represent something positive in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm going to come back to you, Alan, because I saw you shaking your head, and I want to hear what you got to say on that. So, and I think, Nicole, you're absolutely right. Many people see that, listen, it's my couple of dollars. What big deal is it going to make, right? So, but, Erica and I have been intentional about searching out Black vendors to keep our money as much as possible in our own communities. And so that may mean taking a little longer drive to a different store, right? Now, does that mean that every single dollar that we spend stays in the Black community? Absolutely not. It doesn't. But we are intentional about not only where we spend our money, but even when it comes to tipping and stuff like that. We're intentional about making sure that we will search out and look for, and even in our professional roles, we want to make sure that we bring that we keep the Black dollar in the Black community as much as possible. Make that dollar circulate. But that's only a portion, right? Because like we're talking about, media has a responsibility. We have personal responsibility, and it takes all of us. It takes all of it to make significant change. So that's why, it may not be our personality to be the loud voice, boisterous person, but I still try to support that person. If I believe in what they're saying, and it may make people uncomfortable, I will still try to support that person if they're saying the right things, even though it may not be my way of presenting our case.
Right.
We need everybody. We need somebody that's going to make people uncomfortable.
Right.
We need somebody that's going to make people comfortable, that's going to present things a certain way. And all of these things are so important as we go forward and try to create change.
And even Black Wall Street is indicative of the power that our money has or had. When we had Black Wall Street or Greenwood, I didn't even learn about that until late. I'm talking about in the last maybe 5 years.
Right.
Had I known, I had no idea that we had such power at one time. And I think 2 different places, if I'm not mistaken. Ernesto, you might know this, right?
Well, I do know that if you want to know more of that stuff, just look at the Reconstruction period when we had a record number of African Americans who got voted into Congress, became mayors of towns and stuff like that. And then there was a horrible backlash that came forward and really tried to systematically keep us down. And there are generations of that also. The system also works today in a grander scale. You talk about the narrative and the media,
Thank you.
For example, the reason why there's so much bad news is because they did studies and know that, every station that did only good news did not last because people were more watching and attracted to bad news.
You're right.
That is human nature. And the news is and they are a profit-making entity. So they're gonna go that has the money. That's how it works. The worst thing that happened to CNN and MSNBC's ratings was when Trump lost. Because their viewership actually dropped.
Wow.
So even though they criticized Trump, the truth is Trump was good for business.
He was adding to their bottom line. Absolutely.
Exactly. So now that's why sometimes when you still sometimes go on to those channels, they're still talking about Trump.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what people
and it's right. And it's not only people keeping informed, how many eyes is on the tubes, right? So and unfortunately it's not necessarily character, it's not necessarily what's righteous or what's right that really pushes the machine. It's the green that really pushes the machine.
We got another saying. We got another shirt. It's the green that pushes the machine.
And you know what else also? People always talk about remember the Montgomery bus boycott was a financial boycott because they stopped using the buses and the Montgomery bus company nearly went bankrupt.
Right.
And that's what made them change their minds.
Right. It wasn't about what the good thing is to do, what the moral thing. It was about the bottom line.
That's correct. So going back to our original question about the narrative and how people are seen, I'm so glad that that narrative is changing. But one of the reasons why that narrative is changing now is because of this woke culture that really put like a lot of people to task and was like, hey, look, we're calling out this person, we're calling out that company. When before we necessarily didn't do that.
Right. And
You know,
this all circles back to what we were saying. You know who pushes that this new narrative is the young people, the younger generation. The younger generation learning how to come together and set up a protest in a matter of hours and get the word out. They're the ones that's pushing it. So there's a phrase that I use in work. It's youth led and adult guided. And if we could do more of that, allow the youth to lead, but guide them along, like give them the wisdom that they need as they lead. But this new generation, because I think a lot of generations prior have been so dogmatic about you got to do it this way, you got to do this, you got to do that. You know, they will tend to turn us off and say, listen, I got this. But if we can listen and help guide them, I think it'll be even more powerful.
I just want to say one thing. I also want to say that, you know, working with the youth, I mean, I was doing the math. I'm almost ashamed to say how long I've been working with the youth.
I'll say it. I know. No.
How long? Let me see if you got it right.
Let me see. We graduated about the same year, so you've been working with them about 27 years.
Wow.
Oh.
He got it exactly. He got it right. He got the exact year right. Yo, bro,
I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's been 27 years. That's right.
Man.
27 years.
I've known you for a long time, Ernesto.
Yeah. 27 years. And I've seen, like, literally that's generations. So I've seen how, you know, this youth is different from when I was younger and in between that mice when the social media first came out and stuff like that and all that. So I've seen it. Now, this youth does have their issues. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
They got their issues.
As does everyone. Yep.
But I do remember there was a point when I worked at East Harlem, the community center that I was working at, Champ Sports gave us a $5,000 check because they asked us to do something. They wanted to use our kids for a study.
Okay.
And what they did was we had a basement and upstairs they had the guys in this room who were monitoring them interviewing our kids. And what they did was they said stuff like, hey, what do you think about this product?
Uh-huh.
You know, and they asked for a Latina, African-American, Caribbean, you name it. Because we were like the United Color of Benetton over there. We even had Asian kids and Muslim kids. And they asked each group a different question and what they thought about the products, right? So I got all of my hustler boys, right? Hustling. And I got them together and I said, I need you to watch this. I said, you see that cap? They're asking you what you think about it. And then if you like that one, what they're going to do is they're going to mass produce it, go back to the community and charge you $60 for that same hat.
Yep.
We gave our kids $10 to ask him like 5 questions.
Wow.
So I said, that's a real hustle. And you got to understand how that works, you know, and they really was thinking about it because they got to, you know, and it's opportunities like that to open up their eyes. And yes, and lastly, yes, it is about relationship with these kids.
Yeah.
They would skip class because the teacher don't like them. And I'm like, that teacher gets paid whether or not you fail or not.
Right.
Right.
You got to do it for yourself. I don't like her, mister, because, you know, we're all mister.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, we're all mister. You know, so I think that it's very important just to say that it is so key that we all are aware, even what we watch on TV. Everyone has a different agenda. You got to know what's the agenda behind everything that you're watching. Yeah, because everyone has a different agenda. It's so important for us to be grounded in the word, because these days, man, truth is so relative.
Yeah, exactly. So let me get to this. I had Dr. Simmons's comment up for a while. I don't know, Vaughn, do you want to read Dr. Simmons's comment since you're so close to her?
Sorry,
There you go.
I was on mute. Sorry. Now more than ever, the news has become an added weight for me, and at times I have to turn it off. Unfortunately, it adds to the anxiety, discrimination, and pushing the agenda.
Yeah, I found myself doing the same thing, just like you said, Alan, especially at the height of the pandemic, at the height of all of the Trump stuff. I could not watch the news consistently. Even now, Erica turns the TV when certain things come on because we can't just go on and on and on and on about that. So a couple of things. I'll take a pause. Alan, you shared this a few weeks ago. I'm trying to do it more. Anyone that's watching, please like, share, and comment. Share, so more people know that we're on. More people can join the conversation. Let them know that we're here talking about something other than, all the other nonsense that's just going on in the culture. But we're talking about real issues that affect brothers like us. And in essence, sisters like us as well, as we see Nicole with us today.
And we all have a responsibility to change the narrative in our own way without just thinking about our own family. Because just as Ernesto said, about the focus group of those kids, his influential words spoke something to them to help change the narrative in the future. Absolutely. As him giving them understanding as to what this whole marketing beast is like. That's an influence that will help to change a narrative in the future because they now understand, hey, they only giving me $10 and they're gonna, market this hat for $90 that I'm gonna buy.
They're gonna get their money back. They're going to get their money back. Yes. So, and I want to make sure we cover this. Louisa, I want to make sure that I'm not ignoring you. And I wanted to come back to this in particular. She said, but a lot of times, like, businesses overcharge too, and they don't give you a break if you are a steady and good customer. I've heard this narrative, and I will say this, and I'm just being transparent and direct. They should not give you a break. They should not give you a break. They should charge just like everyone else. And I think that's where we get in trouble as a Black community, expecting a break. I will expect good service and good quality products. And I will pay them what it's worth, just like I would pay anyone else. But I don't want them to charge me less than what the product is worth, because again, that's how we keep the Black dollar. That's how we keep Black businesses down, by expecting that they would charge less for their product just because they're Black business. Alan, I know you was going to jump in. Go ahead.
So Louisa said she thinks we're misunderstanding what she said, but let me go back to this. Nicole made the analogy that, and I'm sorry, I'm open up a proverbial can of worms here, but we're going to stop at 6 o'clock. So I know this is going to go.
Yes, sir.
Yes, take a sip, brother. You're going to be like, hold up. But, Nicole made the, I was talking about the media, and she made the sort of metaphor about the Black dollar and how, there's a direct correlation between what we do and, what sort of benefits and keeps going forward. And while I do agree with that, Nicole, always start with the positive, yes. While I do agree with that, we have to support, and I'll put this in quote, Black businesses, I'm very hesitant of that. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people say, oh, support Black businesses. Now I'm going off on a tangent. This is getting away from media. I just want to clarify that. I don't believe, someone asked me before if I was pro-Black, and this was in college, right? And I said, no, I'm not. And they said, what do you mean? You're Black. And I said, no, I'm pro-positive. If you're positive, I'm going to support you. Now, if you're black and positive, I'm going to support you ever the more. But see, while I will buy Sean John suits, you'll never see me in a Steve Harvey polyester or a Master P suit. No, I'm Vaughn. We've spoken about this before. I'm bringing the fire.
Okay, all right. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
What about Sean John?
Yeah, I said Sean John. I'm quality. The suits, you're like, yo, Ralph Lauren.
I see.
Sean John.
You're talking about the quality of the suit.
Yeah, it's the quality. See, the thing is, I support black businesses that are quality. Now, I agree with one portion of Luisa's statement, and I think she's gonna probably clarify what she was saying because
I was just sharing with her. Yeah.
But let me just say this: that I think that some black businesses do overcharge. And, as opposed to other businesses, you could look at a Mexican business, like, everybody in Long Island, pavers, love pavers, backyards, pavers, doing work. It's a time of year. It happens all the time. You see the trucks coming down the street, tree cutters, whatever. So the neighbors come out, hey, how much to do this? They're always asking contractors. So I was trying to do my pavers, and I got this quote. This Indian guy, I think he was from Guyana, out of Ozone Park. This white guy, okay. And then I was driving by, and I saw this black guy working. So I stopped and I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you do the pavers? Are you the owner?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, great." I said, "Why don't you come by the house? Give me a quote." Now, I have spreadsheets. I've already done the research.
Alan.
Yeah, of course. I'm a nerd. So, not a geek. Those are social.
It's a difference, right?
Okay.
So, who knew, right? But, the thing is, I had a spreadsheet of how this should be done. Now, one of the things that I did was I went on Nicolac's site in Cambridge. We all have commercials, and they say put some aggregate, which is rough stone down, stone bits, concrete bits, whatever, then coarse sand, then you lay your pavers down, right? Some of these guys were saying, "Nah, I'm going to put concrete." And I said, "Okay, why are you going to put concrete?" Well, he said, "It's easier to get it level." Now, he caught me when he said, "It's easier." So I said, "Oh, okay. It's easier. Easier for who? I'm not doing the work. I don't care if it's easier. I care if it's right."
So, right.
Okay, how much is your price? Right? Okay, I see that price. I see this price. Now, the Latin guy was a little bit more expensive than the white guy. The white guy said he was going to use the concrete. So I was like, I ain't going with you anyway. So you out, because no, that's not the way to do it. The Latin guy was a little bit more expensive, and he seemed to know what he was doing. So I was like, oh, all right, okay. Then I asked the black guy, the black guy was out of the park with his ballpark.
Okay.
And he was using concrete. Now, concrete is a cheaper way to do it, and you could do it that way by drilling holes. They're drainage holes, because if you use poor concrete, water on concrete cracks. So on your pavers, you'll have dips. It'll undulate, right? So I don't want to pay $10,000, and I'm going on my driveway like, oh snap, nah, that's a masterpiece suit for me.
I got you, bro. You brought that back real nice. Baby.
My thing is like
it just took an hour to get there, but it was really good. But it was good.
I'm watching the time. It's 8 minutes.
You brought that back real nice, so I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna end with this: that we as people have a challenge. Okay, black people have a challenge because we often compare ourselves to Jews.
That's
we
right.
often compare ourselves to Asians. And when we say Asians, we say, oh, the Chinese, oh, the Koreans, oh, this. So we're actually comparing a diaspora, I want to say the French term because it's a French word, of African American, West Indian,
Everybody.
African,
We got it.
English,
Yep.
Muslim, Christian, Baha'i faith, Southern, Northern, this, that, the other. To Jews? A religion? Come on, B. Are you serious? Then we want to compare ourselves to Chinese? These people have a language and a culture. We're talking about Black people. We are a mixed people. To compare ourselves, to be monolithic in our thought, right? To say, oh, I'm going to support Black businesses. You're supporting a wide range, light-skinned, dark-skinned, West Indian, African, this, that, the other. But when you say to certain Black people, oh, okay, why don't you go to the African market? What? The barefoot,
The barefoot.
Yeah, I don't know. They sort of smell fun. You get all these sort of divisive terms within the culture.
Right.
So for me, it's more about supporting the positive. And I say, if it's a positive Black business, I'm going to support it. Just like you guys, Thurston, did the kitchen.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say it, Alan.
And I asked your wife who did this, right? And I looked, I said, wow, that looks like a good job. So what I wanted to do, when I'm going to do mine, I'm going to call y'all up. You guys are my friends. I'll even go and see some of the work. I'll look at the corners and this. Is everything level? Oh, okay. Let me get a price quote. If he's within the range, and you don't have to be on the nose or cheap.
Right.
Not trying to, you're trying to eat. I'm trying to get something done, so I'm trying to feed you with my money.
Right.
But I'm not trying to not eat.
So like you.
Right.
So,
within a certain ballpark, okay, 2,000, 3,000. All right, I'll support him.
So that was going to be my next question to you, Alan. If once you get these quotes, and the quotes may be different, long as it's not extreme,
Right.
The thing about I was going to bring up my kitchen because the thing about that work, it wasn't just about the quality of the work, because the quality of the work was incredible, but it was the experience. Now, I know most times if we're getting this work done, a lot of times this work will be happening when we're out at work, but because of COVID, everybody, myself, my wife, and my children were home. So what added to the level of the way that we were satisfied with the work was the interaction between myself, my wife, my daughters, and the people that were doing the work. So, of course, when people are doing this type of work, they have music playing, whatever. If I heard something that wasn't appropriate, then I would just go to them, hey, blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. Automatically, the music went off or the level of went down. I didn't get any pushback. I didn't get any attitude. I didn't get any type of, oh, you think you're better than us. It was a pleasant interaction the entire time. And they were in our house for over a month because they did kitchen, living room, they did some basement work. So that was the thing for me. Like you said, it was you support positivity. That's what it was for us. It was not only was it a Black business where it was a Black owner and he had a Black crew, but it was the way that he approached me and the way he respected my home. Because you don't want to get the cheapest price and have someone just disrespecting you and your family. That can happen. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to throw that in there while we was on the subject. Randy, I know you've had a lot of work done. So I saw you shaking your head when Alan was talking about even the way that the work is done, putting it on the
yeah,
like that.
We had a lot of work, and I had my share of dealing with Black-owned businesses, and it has not always been good. You know, there's a brother that we all know that paints, and we brought him into the house because I knew him. I've seen his work, but we learned the hard way. There's a difference between a painter and an artist.
Right. A big difference, man.
And so my wife was livid because you know me, Thurston. We don't mind spending the dough.
Right.
If it's gonna be right.
Right. Yep.
And it gotta be right. And so, and my wife always laugh at me because I'll be out there looking. I'm not working, but I'm looking. I'm standing out there watching.
Right.
I'm doing what I gotta do around. And she said, "Why you stand out there over them?" I'm like, "We paying all this money. They don't get it right."
Right.
And I'm pointing to certain things. I'm doing this because a lot of times the head guy is not there.
Right.
He off doing something else. So he leaves his workers. He tells them what to do, and he leaves the workers. So we always make it very clear. Listen, I don't want you to come rip up my house, and then you're going to start another house, and then you come back to my house 2 weeks later. Once you start, you finish, or I start deducting money from you. I learned over the times that you don't pay them all the money. You know, they might want a certain amount to start, certain amount and a half, and then they want the rest.
Right.
And I learned that I'm not giving you nothing. I'm not giving you all your money at the end until everything is right. It's none of this, oh, you're going to come back, you're going to do it now. No,
Yep.
they happen.
Done. You're right.
You got to get it right. So
you're preaching real good. You're preaching real good.
So I learned, you know, and the guy did a bad job because, you know, when you're a painter, you know, you might have some imperfections in the wall, so you want them smoothed out, but he felt that he can smooth them out with paint. I mean, you can't smooth out a lump with paint. You know, you got to put some plaster, you got to sand it down.
Yeah. I see Louisa tried to clarify. I don't know if you want to share that.
I'm gonna pull it up. You want to read it, Vaughn, or you want me to read it?
Okay, I'll read it. It says, "I support Black businesses and I support white businesses also. When I go into a white business that I've gone to for a long time, they will always give me a discount. The Black businesses, they aren't giving you anything, no breaks. I had an experience with the flower shop near me. I bought a plant from her and it died right away. When I told her, she said she was going to give me one,
Nicole,
but was charging me the same price, no break at all. And that is how we do." Well, I'll say this. I don't know about that particular experience. As someone who's worked in businesses, you know, from my father's to now being a manager, sometimes with Black businesses or other small businesses, they may not have the buying power that other businesses do, or they may just not have enough clientele where they can afford to give breaks and do different things that some other businesses do. Now, It might not be smart for them if they have a good client that continuously comes to them because they know there's
like bad business to me.
Because there's competition, but they might be hesitant to do some things because they just feel that they can't afford it when they know that, you know, they just don't have the opportunities that some other businesses do that can afford them to make different moves and things that other businesses can.
I mean, that is sort of like the narrative, the overall narrative about how small businesses are put out of business. If you have a community where a bunch of thriving small businesses, but you say a Walmart comes in right down the block, these businesses can't compete with the buying power of a Walmart. Now, does that mean that I'm just going to give somebody my money for bad merchandise or bad service? Absolutely not. Because I don't care if you're black, white, green, or yellow. If you're not giving me proper service, I'm not going to support you. But I will search out for a Black-owned business that gives good service and good product. And I'm willing to pay more for the product, not extravagant prices, but I'm willing to pay even a little more to support that business. And I think if more of us, now everybody may not be in a position where they can do that. That's okay. But if more of us who are willing to do that and search out, and listen, I'll call out a Black business on bad service as well. I have this conversation with Erica all the time. I hate to go into a business and I'm more pleasant to you than you are. And I'm spending my money. I'm spending my money in your establishment, and you're not pleasant. You're not. You don't gotta be.
You can't go to West Indian restaurants then, Thursday.
Oh my goodness! Well, listen.
I can think of a soul food restaurant right near me in Laurelton. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, Nick's.
but Louisa, I do. I appreciate you clarifying. I do. But I want to make sure that all of us, we don't want to paint with a broad brush, all Black businesses, all white businesses. We don't. There are plenty of white businesses that we have gone to for years. We love the service. We love the interaction, the way that our family is treated. We love it. And we continue to go back and we'll support them. But we are intentional about supporting Black businesses because it is needed. It is something that is desperately needed. So I appreciate your interaction today, Louisa. I really, really do. Portia shared a comment. My neighbor was a fourth generation contractor who was a fourth generation. He was expensive, but did our kitchen alone. We had no problem with him. He cleaned up each night before he left. Yeah, listen, if you find somebody good, it is worth it. It is worth it to spend the money, and we're supporting our people.
So like you said, I did a lot of work in the house, and so like I had a kitchen done.
Right.
We spent a ton of money on cabinets, all this.
Oh my goodness.
So we try to get this guy. We tried to get this guy that we knew from the church to come in. He had a contractor. He came, he did it, gave us a nice price. We said, okay, we go with it. But the problem was when you do the floor, you have to mud the floor.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. To level it out.
Yep.
So that's what I wanted. And he put down it's like poster board, like a board that look like cement, and then you screw it in. So now when he put the cabinets in, and we had like this granite countertops all over, that granite is heavy.
Yes.
It's heavy. So now the floor is not like leveled like it's supposed to be.
Yikes.
Because he didn't mud the floor.
Yikes.
And so now we have marble and all on the floors. And so the marble is supposed to be, pasted together where he put a gap. And so, so these are the little things I would never use. I always find problem with Italian guys. I never use Italians. I'm sorry. I have. Most people that I have dealt with now has been more of like
Hispanic,
Mexicans and stuff like that. Like you see in the front of my house that I wanted done.
Right.
So a lot God gave us favor in doing, but just like you said, Alan, with the putting down the crushed up stones, and then they pat it down and all this. That's the way then they put the sand. But the guys, what they did do after they did all of that, they did put a thin coat of cement to hold the brick down. They did a marvelous job. And so the guy gave us so much because what we wanted, he said okay, we wanted to have all this work done. And he came in and he was saying, well, we had two black dudes that came by, gave us quotes. And one guy was going to do it, but I was not really feeling his guy that was with him. I wasn't feeling his partner that was with him. So then we went to a stone place, and my wife said, look, who would you use to do your house? So she was asking. So she gave us, and we called them up. So when we called the guy said, well, how did you get my number like that? So when he told her, we told him. So then he said, okay, so he came by, he gave us a quote that was perfect for what we wanted. But then now we want to see his work.
Uh-huh.
So now all he does work out in the Jewish neighborhood, all these synagogues and all this kind of stuff. So
they are particular.
Yeah. And he sent us over there. We rang this guy a bell, who happened to be a rabbi, one of the nicest guys. We mentioned the guy's name. He was raving about him, took him outside, took us all out in the back and showed us everything, the pool that they did and everything. So we decided to go with him, and they did a marvelous, marvelous job. Matter of fact, they gave us stuff. So when people would come back, the job that should have cost about $40,000, he said, to do, they wound up doing it for 18. Putting in sprinkler system. They redid the flower bed. They redid the wall. Most people, what they were going to do, we wanted this stone, but they were just going to take the stone and put it on top of what was already there.
Right.
They ripped everything out and gave us cylinder blocks, put the stone up right. I mean,
nice.
People like that, I'm telling you. So, but other thing I find out is that when you go into the relationship, they're only for a certain period, because now the guy is like, he's like kind of acting kind of funny.
You can't get back no more?
No, I mean, the guy that did our stairs, he undercharged himself. He charged, because we have granite and we have porcelain stairs going up. He undercharged us himself. He charges only $750 to do the stairs, where his chairs should have been about $5,000.
Wow.
So we hold him to the contract. Now he won't talk to us.
Well, listen,
I understand how relationships, God brings them into your point. That's what we always pray, God, give us who we need to do the job. And every single time, like when you told me about the guy that did your work, how y'all met him and stuff like that, and you showed me the work and stuff like that, I said, you did a great job. If need be, then I would tell, I would call him up. If I had something else to do, I would call him up and say, do this. But it's the way it is, man. I'm just like, it's about, you want to do right by people. I don't mind paying you the money, but you got to do right.
Especially when it involves your home. Yeah, I mean, this is your principal investment, man. So
if you got a business, I'll help you, but don't be shady and don't cut. You're going to charge me top dollar. Okay, this is what it is, but I'm expecting you to be here on time.
Yep.
I'm expecting you to have your crew that you promised me and show.
Don't want to have to chase you down. Right.
And I want you to finish.
Right.
You come in my house smoking and drinking and carrying on. No, you got to be professional, and I don't mind paying you. But if you're not going to be professional about this, then I can't deal with it.
No, it has. So two things. I want to go back to this. First of all, before we go back to you, Claudio, because I'm definitely not letting you off the hook on that comment. I love it. Like Portia said, I try to support our people, but not for nothing. They must be professional and courteous. And listen, we got to hold people to that, man. We have to hold people to that. If I'm paying my money, I don't mind supporting you. I don't even mind doing a longer search. Or most likely it's Erica doing the search. I mean, I'm not even going to stand here in front like I do the search. It's Erica that's doing the search. But
help me.
Yes. But we need to make sure that the work is good. Now, Claudio,
it ain't authentic.
I've said this so many times, Claudio. If it ain't authentic West Indian restaurant, if they're nice to you, like
that's the narrative.
West Indian restaurants where I've gotten good service and they've been pleasant. And you're right, it's just something about the food. Just is not totally as good as that. It's not as good as that restaurant I went into and they stared me up and down and they didn't smile and they were a little sharp in their responses. Come on, man, let's go. What do you want?
Now I know I can't sawfish. It's 2 o'clock.
Why are you using that accent, brother?
No, you ain't right.
What? Why are you?
Where I got the accent from?
Right, Claudio.
Upstairs.
You're absolutely right, man.
You're right.
And everybody's agreeing with you. Everybody's agreeing with you.
Yeah, typically the holes in the walls always got them beat, boy. But hold on, but there are wait a minute. There are some West Indian restaurants, or I don't even know if you want to consider them all West Indian, but West Indian run restaurants where the service is excellent. Shout out to Sweet and Savory. I know Claudio likes that.
Yes, absolutely.
Where's Sweet and Savory? Where's that?
In Baldwin on Merrick Road, Merrick and Grand.
Sweet and Savory is an incredible restaurant. Yes. And actually, that was one of the restaurants where I went in, and they were nicer to me. Like, I try to be very pleasant anywhere I go, but I actually could not out nice them. Like, they were, and the food was delicious. The food was great.
That means they're changing the narrative.
They're changing the narrative. Changing the narrative
of what a black business should be. That's exactly what they're doing.
Right. That's changing the narrative.
So I guess we're ending on a good note because it's around 6 o'clock.
Yep,
but another great restaurant that I want to big up, just shouting them out, black-owned restaurant, Trident Seafood in Franklin Square. On Franklin, right off the Southern State, delicious food. I'm talking about, and I know Thurston will like this, some shrimp and grits.
Oh yes, sir. Yes.
They have some fried catfish with some and I love fried catfish, Lord Jesus, and with some sweet potatoes. I mean, they do lobster rolls.
My arteries are clogging up, boy.
They get down.
This is into
Nicole's Winners. Do they have vegan food, vegetables?
Oh, good.
Yes, they do. It's called Trident Seafood. If you're in the Long Island area,
type of food. So wait a minute. There's a place in Queens. I always forget the name of. Is it like the Door or something like that?
Yeah,
the Door. I think they closed.
Really?
No,
when did they close?
Still open.
Okay.
No, the Door has always been known for excellent food. And I'll end it there.
Service.
But listen, so I'm gonna give them a shout out though, because it was Deanna and Curtis invited Erica and I out to dinner for their buffet, and you know what? They were extremely pleasant. Now I heard that the takeout portion that's like on the side, that can be like you got to know how to navigate that. But
I got some horror stories.
For the buffet, it was incredible. Service was great. We had a great time. So I want to make sure that I give them a shout out. So clearly this has turned into the West Indian restaurant show. But we definitely want to give them the proper shout out. It was really good, and the food was amazing. So that's where we are. Let's see. Louisa was asking, anything in Brooklyn? What do y'all know about Brooklyn? I can't really say that I know.
Utica Avenue. Just drive down Utica Avenue.
Utica Avenue.
Oh! If you go downtown, there's a Haitian restaurant right across from BAM. It's delicious. I forget. It's like Haitian fusion or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. There's also sugar cane.
I've heard about sugar cane. I don't know.
I've been to sugar cane. It's really good.
The Haitian fusion, is that Kombit? Kombit?
Sugar cane is Trinidadian food.
Yeah. Wait, Nicole asked the question. Say that one.
Kombit is the Haitian fusion. Kombit, Kombit. It has a blue sign like on Flatbush Avenue.
Yes, I think so.
That's the one, because you said across from BAM, so it may be a little further down.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if it was a West Indian place, but you remember Aquaba?
Oh yes, that was more southern.
They're not there anymore, though, right?
No, probably not.
But they do have a bed and breakfast somewhere. It's not in Brooklyn, but listen.
Yes, they do have it in Brooklyn. Aquaba is in Brooklyn also, but I think they have another location. Aquaba's first bread and breakfast was on Brooklyn. I can't remember the street.
Really?
It was in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yes.
Erica and I used to go there all the time after service at CCC. We used to love their Sunday brunch. It was great. It was really, really great. So we were sad to see them go. And I haven't found where their bread and breakfast is, but Makwaba was great. Now, is that was that West Indian
I
owned?
don't think so.
No.
I think there was this
No.
African name.
Okay.
I know the owner. She's
Monique Greenwood.
I think she's from Philly or someplace like that. Delicious too. Very delicious.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Listen, we've talked enough today, so I think we understand that the responsibility for changing the narrative sort of falls on everybody. We all have a responsibility. I refuse to live my life trying to live up to someone else's expectations, though. So I try to make it a part of who I am, my daily life, the way I go about it. I think that's important. And, people are watching. They're always watching. So, I think that's a way of changing the narrative also. And even though we're over time, I will give everybody a few minutes for your final thoughts, as we usually do. So, Nicole, your final thoughts for today's show.
Well, my final thoughts are thank you first and foremost for, inviting me, Thurston, to be a part of this. And I know y'all came for me with the media, but regardless of whether I'm on media or I'm just me, there is a responsibility for me to represent Christ first well, right? Even with all my other issues, I'm doing the best that I can. And I think we're responsible for each other just the same in the way we carry ourselves and what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. And my mind goes back to your comment about, the friend calling you at a certain time and you calling them out on it. Listen, that's important. That's important stuff, man. So I appreciate your insight, Nicole.
It wasn't easy to do because you think, you're going to create strife, but I thought it wasn't going to be hard. And he came at me. Let me just say that. He came at me hard. And
you stood your ground. You stood your ground.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
That's important.
And I think he understood it.
Calling me at 12 o'clock. Who you think I am?
And I didn't want to make that. I didn't want to set a trend or a habit.
That's important.
She turned into Biggie Smalls.
Who the heck is this?
I know who that right now. Biggie Smalls.
I love it. Alan, final thoughts for today, man.
Really quick, shout out to Reggie. Happy birthday, Reggie.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
I'm honored to be on with you, gentlemen, and especially you, Nicole. You always add commentary in our chat, so you are a part of Like Us. I'll take off the
Yes. Y'all my brothers.
Yes.
Thank you, Alan. Ernesto, final thoughts, man.
What's up? Well, Alan, thank you. I learned a new word today, undulate. Didn't know what that word meant.
I love it.
So I looked it up, learned what a new word is today. So thank you very much, my brother. Undulate means to make wavy.
Okay, thank you.
To make wavy.
That's right.
I love it, man.
Right. I thought he was speaking Spanish. Undulate. I was like, what are you talking about?
Maybe that's right. Make it wavy.
You gotta bring a notepad anytime Alan's on the show, man. You gotta bring a notepad. You always learning something new with him, man. Always.
That's right. And just thank you very much for having me on. As usual, I want to give a shout out to Brother Reg on his birthday, even though he's not here today. I'll pour one out for the brother who ain't here. There you go. That's right.
Communion juice we're pouring out.
Right.
That's right. And I drove him to get his shot yesterday.
Oh,
really?
Where did he get his shot?
He did it.
And you're telling us this now?
We're gonna revisit it. We'll revisit it.
Where did he get his shot? And which vaccine did he get?
Oh,
CCC. One shot Johnson.
Johnson.
Good for him. Okay.
One shot Johnson. I like that.
Pastor got his too. Y'all will see it next week on the CCC.
Oh, nice.
Well, I'm scheduled for tomorrow actually to get my first shot.
Are you doing Johnson?
No. I'm. Okay. I think Moderna.
York?
So I got
at the local Walgreens.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Nice. I
What
got
I'm going to York.
Moderna shot on the 24th, and I had absolutely no reactions whatsoever, man. None, no adverse reactions.
Wait, Thurston. Now you're bragging about the shot?
Yeah. I've been telling everybody God loves me more than everybody else, man. Because I haven't had no adverse reactions. You know, He really loves me, man. I'm trying to tell everybody He loves me more than y'all. But
it's a personal relationship.
Vaughn, final thoughts, man.
Well, quickly, I saw Louisa just wanted to know where Reggie and Pastor Darren. I guess she understands now why Reggie's not here because he's celebrating his birthday.
Right.
And Pastor Darren had a previous engagement.
Exactly.
So that's why they're not here today.
That's a ministerial response.
But Nicole more than made up for those two missing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I just agree with that. What was been said. The responsibility on changing the narrative falls on all of us. It falls on the media. It falls on us, the way we represent ourselves, and it falls on others in the way that their eyes are colored and what they think about us. So all we can do is to be the change ourselves.
Yep. Be the change we want to see. Absolutely. I love it. This is a great show. Randy, final thoughts, my dude.
Yeah, I got my shot today, my final shot.
Okay. Do you know, was it Moderna or Pfizer?
Yeah, I have no feeling in my right leg.
Right leg?
Why'd they shoot you in the leg?
Now my leg is not working.
The Lord loves you, Randy.
Don't let me find out that they Tuskegee, my dude, man. Don't let me find out they Tuskegee you, bro.
One thing I gotta say, listen, I'm not scared of needles.
Okay.
I don't go around kicking doctors and all that.
Yeah, listen. I am scared of needles, bro. Absolutely.
She's telling me to breathe. She's like, take a deep breath. I'm like, for what? Just give me the needle already. And when she stuck me, I honestly didn't even feel it.
Wow.
I'm like, you done? I mean, like, but it was specific, man. But yeah.
There was nothing in it.
Yeah, so I'm a placebo.
Nicole, that's what I've been saying. I didn't get any reaction from the first or the second one. I'm like, did y'all placebo me or what, man? But it's all good. I feel good. So how you feeling right now, man?
Huh?
How you feeling now?
I feel good, but she was giving me all the side effects, and that was scaring me more. I'm like, man, just give me the shot and don't say nothing. You telling me that this might happen, this might take place,
man.
This might have your throat might close up. I'm like, I don't tell you all of that. Just give me the shot.
Right.
Guys, quick question. At the church, did they offer it to everyone for this week? Because I wasn't even aware that they were doing it this week.
I got a call from a lot of Elroy Braswell, great brother, former firefighter. So shout out to the courageous of NYC. He actually contacted me and said, hey, they're giving the Johnson & Johnson. Apparently what happens is this. A lot of these are frozen. So once they thaw them out, they can't refreeze them. If the people don't come in that registered, they're giving shots to anybody who comes. And there is really no second shot or first shot. They use the same shot both times. So
but I thought the Johnson & Johnson didn't have to be frozen the same way that Pfizer and Moderna does.
Right, but apparently they had more from what he was telling me. So I don't know.
How many of y'all going to Easter Sunday service next week? I'm just curious.
Anyone?
I will not be there next week. Who else is going?
Long Island.
You're going to Long Island next week, Alan?
I got the second shot, brother. It's almost 2 weeks. Easter Sunday.
I was actually gonna reach out to you, Thurston, to see if you were ministering next week.
No, I will not be ministering next week, man. I'll be checking in online, but I will not be there in person. I will not.
Nicole?
I plan to be there. I'm going to cover it, and then I'm going to sit in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Nice. Nicole got to do the news coverage, I'm waiting for them to just give you a news desk, man. So with the banner in back of you and all of that stuff, and the news sound.
Yeah, we need you to have a nightly broadcast. We need you to have a nightly news broadcast, Nicole.
Oh, that's a good idea.
No, it ain't.
All right, so listen, guys, let's get out of here, man.
Did you go to the meeting, Nicole? Did you go to the meeting on today?
What meeting?
They had I thought they had a meeting for everyone that was supposed to be planning on being in service next Sunday.
I didn't know about it.
They sent out an email for those that want unstaffed that wants to be there for next Sunday, because I guess they wanted to have this. It was been at 10:30, I think, to discuss what the protocol and all that kind of be, and what was going to be taking place.
And I registered for both what I'm serving in terms of doing the broadcast or whatever, CC News, and then sitting. But I didn't. I registered, but I didn't get an email saying anything.
Oh. Well, maybe they don't look at it that way.
Yeah, it might be just for MOH and stuff like that.
Be quiet, Randy.
Nicole's special. She got called. So she don't gotta go. Come on, man. She don't gotta go to those type meetings.
Can we edit this out?
Nope. It is live in the atmosphere now. Well, listen, I love you guys. I have so much fun with you guys. I really do appreciate you. I'm going to assume that we're probably not going to meet on Easter Sunday, but you guys let me know. We'll talk this week, and if we need to get together, we will. But I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys. Pastor Darren, we miss you. Mr. Reggie, we miss you, bro. But I know that you're enjoying your birthday with Mo. And listen, everybody that's listening, please share, like, comment. Share, like, comment. We want to grow the content, grow the page and the platform. So we need you to share. We need you to like. We need you to comment. We have never asked for a penny from anyone. So we're not the typical platform. And I will say we're not typical in several ways. We have not asked for any donations or anything like that. And we also don't just jump on whatever the sensational story is of the moment. We don't do that. We want to make sure that we are bringing content that's going to uplift our community, our people, and give information to brothers like us regarding marriage and love and relationships and health and religion and faith and family and fun and music. Those are the things that we talk about. We're going to continue on this path and allow this thing to grow organically. But I love each and every one of you. Thank you for showing up consistently. And if we're not back next week, we'll be back the following week. But I look forward to joining in with all of you guys again. And all of you that are watching, if there's a subject that you would like us to talk about, something that you would like us to address on the show, please let us know. You can always email us at lolradiotv@gmail.com. You see it there on the screen. You could also send us messages or comments right here on Facebook. You can join us at the LOL Radio TV on Facebook, and also our YouTube page at Living Out Loud Radio on YouTube. And did I miss anything? Just ask you to spread the word. Spread the word about the show. Brothers Like Us, every Sunday, live Sunday. So y'all will hear all kinds of craziness. We don't edit anything. We just come on and we share our thoughts. So Nicole,
that's obvious.
Brothers Like Us, Living Out Loud Radio TV, live live Sundays at 4 p.m. And we'll see you guys all in the next couple of weeks. All right. So God bless everybody. Y'all have a good time.
Fellas, all right, guys.
And Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Be blessed, everybody. Love you guys.
Happy Resurrection Week.
Yes. Enjoy.